I'm a K-I-N-G, baby, I'm all you need. In the off-white Rari, baby, we run the streets. I'm a K-I-N-G, Westside royalty. I'm a K-I-N-G, baby, that's all you need. I'm a K-I-N-G, baby, I'm all you need.
So how you doing, my man?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good. How's the isolation been treating you?
It's not bad, man. I really can't complain. I've become a gamer now.
Okay.
Which is, I'm spending like 10 hours a day playing video. I used to shit on everybody. I was like, oh, what are you, 30? You're playing video games? Get a fucking life. My life is going.
What's your game of choice now?
I'm playing 2K right now.
Okay.
Destroying in 2K. Dude, I beat the Rockets by 40 yesterday. It was insanity. Playing 2K. I got Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
You know, you gotta let it out sometimes. You know.
I love it, man. I love it.
I'm downloading Grand Theft Auto right now.
Nice. Okay.
That's the next excursion, and then I'll probably get into the Call of Duties and stuff. I'm getting into it.
Okay.
I'm a gamer, dude. I got Mountain Dew. Dude, look at this. Look at this right here. It's real. Dude.
Oh man.
Wait, hold up. You thought I was playing. You thought I was playing, dude.
Dude.
Oh, sugar free though. You're not a real gamer, dude.
Well, no, I'm not a gamer. This is just to survive in life. I have a 3-year, almost 4-year-old, and I'm having to like homeschool her. And I'm looking for. I'm trying to open up a 160,000 square foot sports complex right now. So I had to get early this morning to go do that. And then my wife, trying to help her with, because she works from home now full time. She's put in she worked yesterday from like 7 a.m. till midnight, got up at 6 this morning and started working again. She's been freaking going.
What does she do?
So she's in marketing. She's the vice president of marketing for Cycle Bar, which is a franchise company under Exponential. Mm-hmm. So she works for Exponential. It's a whole thing though. So she's yeah, man, she's having she's being her butt kicked. That's probably the best way to put it.
Wow.
And then we have 2 dogs. So I've been, taking them for walks every day, and I've been working out a little bit more than I used to, which is good because I'm fat right now and I need to get my freaking.
Nice to get outside too.
Dude, this is why I'm fat though.
Oh, word.
And then I've got sweets. Like, bro, come on, man. It's for my daughter. I ate the whole box. That's just one box. I don't even eat sweets. I've been crushing sweets lately.
Yeah, I have too, man. I've been eating fried chicken, Taco Bell. Dude, Taco Bell,
Taco Bell. We just went to Taco Bell the other day. It was good.
Oh, so good. There's nothing like it. This is how I know Taco Bell is amazing. We live in California, and people are always like, oh, but you got to have authentic Mexican food. Why are you going to Taco Bell? Every time I go to Taco Bell, there's a line of Mexicans. And I'm like, yo. Every time I go, and they're like, un quesadilla, and like speaking Spanish and shit, and I'm like, they're not even getting the authentic shit, man.
Dude, you know what though? I lived in Mexico for a little while, and I love Mexican food, and I love authentic Mexican. But yeah, dude, here, like where we live, bro, it's as close as you could be. I was in LA for my birthday. My wife took me, so my birthday was in September. So me and one of my really good friends, and we went to the whiskey bar up there, and there's this little taco truck parked right outside. Mashed on that taco truck after a night of drinking whiskey. It was great.
Dude, tacos are just 10 times more delicious after whiskey. It's a fact, bro. Fact of life.
Well, I did this whiskey donut pairing thing for my buddy's birthday right before the lockdown. That was legit. I have the cup downstairs. I think it's called like whiskey and donuts, but it was good, man. So the guy comes and he pours you your whiskeys and cuts up the donuts and goes through this little thing. It was legit though. Good times.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I gotta do that. Let me know. Was that in LA?
They go all over the place. I'll actually look for it and I'll shoot you a text after we're done here today.
I appreciate it, man.
But let's get started and then we can have our conversation through this whole thing. Now I know we're actually recording right now because I have been messing with the settings a little bit, but for production purposes and the guy that does it, his name's Kevin. He runs Social Nostra and I'm part of this network. So he's going to see this from the moment I started fiddling with the stupid freaking Zoom thing. I was having a rough moment with this whole thing. But anyways, Let's just get this started. So, Kevin, here you go, my man. So Hey, welcome everybody. My name's Stephen Beseda. You're with my podcast, Get It. And we're so excited to have you today. And we're with the Social Nostra Network. So please make sure you find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course, YouTube. And if you're watching this live, subscribe, like, comment. And of course, you can also reach me with my Instagram at ssbeseda, Beseda. And I've answered all my questions that people have shot me so far. And I love engaging with you guys, so please keep them coming. But today, my guest is Neel, and I discovered him at a comedy show. He is a stand-up comedian, and he was one of my favorite stand-up comedians I've seen to date. And just a little background, my wife and I are huge comedy fans. We go to tons of shows, and at the time, my gym, we held this group called Don't Tell Comedy, and they've come through a few times. And to date, Neel's still one of my favorite comedians. And so I wanted to have him on and talk a little bit about just his journey and, of course, comedy, which is one of my favorite topics. So it's great to have you on, and thank you so much for being here today, my man.
Yo, thank you for having me, man. And great show at the gym. Best show I've ever done in a gym.
Oh, well, that's good to know. How many shows have you done at gyms?
That was my third show in a gym.
Okay. And have you done any shows in gyms since?
I did one since, and it wasn't nearly as good. You got the bet. You got the
I wasn't, trying to do my little own stand-up routine before everybody came up and get a couple jokes.
Nobody did that, man. It was lacking for sure. We needed you.
So, funny story.
National gym tour.
After you guys came through that first time, I was like, dude, I'm doing it for the next one. Because I've always wanted, I think I'm funny, right? And my family thinks I'm funny, and my friends think some of my friends think I'm funny, maybe not all of them. But, I've always wanted to, I think I'm funny. And whether I am or not will be determined. But, when I'm like, I do a lot of public speaking too. And it seems like people laugh a lot. So for the next couple that came through, I actually had a little 3-minute, 4-minute thing I did, and people were dying, dude. They were loving it. So there's this, we're still in the coronavirus thing right now, for those of you who maybe watch this a little later, but so everything is in lockdown, but there is this place to do stand-up, and you get 5 minutes, and it's open mic. You go up, you get 5 minutes. And so I'm going to do that. And I've got a few jokes that I've worked out to do for that. So I'm going to do it just to throw myself out there, but, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, good luck, man. If you need any help with that set, let me know.
Oh, for sure. Well, so let me ask you, so how did you get started?
So I started, it's a long story. You ready for the long story?
Give it to me, man. I love this.
Here it is. So I had no friends, and that was it. It's the whole story. I actually, I was a big fan of stand-up. I've always been a huge, huge fan of stand-up, as I'm sure you are. And I became a huge fan in, middle school. And I was a big fan of, the one-liner guys, like Stephen Wright, Dimitri Martin, Mitch Hedberg, those kind of dudes. So I started stealing their jokes in middle school. I would write them. I would watch comedy on Comedy Central, and I would write down the jokes in a notebook. And then I would tell them at lunch, not knowing I was stealing. I was just like, yo, I heard this joke, and I would repeat their jokes. So that got me, that taught me the structure of jokes. And that taught me, I was word for wording them. I wasn't even, getting the timing down and all that shit. Cause I had to, I was a loser. I didn't have any friend. I had to kill at lunch to sit at the cool table. You know what I mean? I had to, if my jokes bombed, they'd be like, get the fuck out of here, So I would bring it every day. I would bring new jokes. I'd study Comedy Central every night. So in high school, I was like, yo, why don't I just start writing my own, So I started writing one-liners based on the structure that I've been copying for years. And by the end of high school, I had a notebook full of jokes, just a full notebook of jokes. And I would tell people, I'd tell my friends, I had a girlfriend at the time, I would tell her, and my girlfriend at the time was like, you can just go on stage, you should just do comedy. And I didn't know you could. I didn't know there was an open mic system. I didn't know. I thought it was you were me or you were Dave Chappelle. No in between. And
that's a pretty big gap there.
I didn't know there was I didn't know Dave Chappelle went through a process. I just thought he was funny, so they gave him a special. I had no idea what the process of comedy was. And I remember her telling me, "Oh, you can go on stage," and I was like, "No, you can't. I'm just gonna walk on stage." Like, just go online, look it up. I Googled it, probably Yahooed it. It was 2008, so I Yahooed it, and
There you go.
yeah, Alta Vista'd it. I asked Jeeves, and Jeeves was like, "Yo," and so I found an open mic in Atlanta, and it was my hometown, and I was 18. I was 19. I was 19 at the time, 2009. And it was 5 minutes, same thing. And it was like a scheduled open mic, which I haven't, which is not very common. They would be like, I was like, hey, can I do it in like September? And they're like, all right, October 28th, you can come by and do the open mic. So I came and it was 5 minutes. So I've been practicing 5 minutes. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, all right, I'm going to do this 5 minutes. If I suck, I'm never doing it again. I tried it. I did my best, and it was like, if I suck, it's not for me. I'm gonna give it a shot. So I went up, and it was 5 minutes, and I was so nervous. My 5 minutes became like 3.5. I was just rushing everything, but I was getting laughs. Every joke was getting a laugh, but I didn't know that you're supposed to wait for the laughter. I had no idea. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know what timing was.
Right.
Because I've been practicing in my room and just speed reading these jokes to my wall.
Which your wall probably laughed every time.
Every time, dude. Applause. My walls were applause-free. Might have been construction on in the other apartment, but it's noise nonetheless. So I ended up going up. I did well, and the owner of the club saw me there and was like, "Was that your first time?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "That was really good. Keep coming back." And I was like, "Oh, thank you so much." So he gave me the like little encouragement I needed to continue to keep going. So from there, I hit more open mics, more shows, things like that, and fell in love with it. Never looked back. So that's basically how I started and why I started.
Okay, so you get started doing this, and so that guy, whatever his name was, so he loves you, and
he loved me. He liked me.
Okay, so he likes you.
Yeah.
So then what happens from there? Give me kind of from that point of your life, because one of the big things is I love hearing about the journey, right? And a lot of people love to hear like what were the high points, the low points, what were those obstacles you had to overcome. So just kind of walk us through like from that point to where you're getting on the late night show and the late night show, like you're going through and now you're becoming known and you've got 45,000 Instagram followers and this is what you do full time.
Yeah, that's what I do.
This in video games. So
right.
Walk me through
as well.
So walk me through like that moment, and then you're from Atlanta, right?
Yes.
And so now you live in LA. So that transformation of even leaving home, like I'm from Seattle and I left my family, friends, everyone, so I could come here and start businesses because I wanted to be more distraction free. There's obviously more people here. If you can make it here, you can make it. I know it's a New York saying, but if you make it here, you can make it anywhere.
I disagree with the New York saying, by the way. That was Frank Sinatra said that, and everyone was like, it's a law. Now it's a law, right? Yeah. New York is the easiest place to make it anyway. There's delis everywhere. You can jump the turnstile, get anywhere in the city. It's the easiest place to make it ever. Los Angeles is way harder. I think if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Nobody wants to look at you here. Nobody wants to look at you.
Validating my statement. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere.
Dude, that New York statement, that's such bullshit, man. It drives me. It's just a New York. Hey, you can make it here. No, a slice of pizza is $1. Come on. Anybody can make it here. Okay?
That's true.
Still, go through the garbage. You'll find 6 half-eaten halals. You can make it in New York. All right? Chill. So yeah, it's a long story and there's a lot of ups and downs, but I'll walk you through some of it. So did that first open mic and I did well. And the owner of the club was like, hey, you can come back any week you want and you can sign up at the bottom of the list. And if we have time, we'll give you some time. So I started showing up every week. I fell in love with it. I was addicted, started going every week. And then I remember he put me on to a show that was going on in Buckhead in Atlanta. And he was like, yo, I'm going to get you on the show in Buckhead on Saturday. And I was like, oh, thanks so much. And during that week, during the course of the week, I remember I went up to 3 open mics and I bombed 3 times in a row. Just ate it. Just sucked, you know? And then it came to Saturday. I'm in my car. I'm on my Motorola Razr phone, because, 2009. And I'm calling my girlfriend. And I tell her, I said, babe, I just bombed 3 times in a row. 3 times in a row this week. Like, maybe I suck. Maybe I shouldn't do this. And I remember, say your dog? Oh, your girl. Hi.
Say hi.
Oh, that's so cute.
This is part of the issues that we get to have with the coronavirus.
It's part of my story. Is that Elsa?
Wait, who is this? Who's this? It's Ariel.
Ariel, but is she dressed like Elsa?
I think so.
Yeah, nice, man. Big Frozen fan.
Do you not come with me? I'm gonna put you in your room so you can watch this in your room right now. You finish this interview, okay? So come here. You can watch it in your room. Grab your doll. All right. Oh, there we go. Magic tricks.
It's the little quick magic trick for you. That's another thing I'm doing in quarantine. I'm trying to learn shit. I started playing piano. I started learning piano like hardcore, man. Learning a song a day. I'm spending like 4 hours a day. I've been learning magic tricks. That's a new one.
Nice.
I'm not that good at magic, to be honest. Like, I've been practicing for like a couple weeks, and I've got like 2 tricks down.
It's probably the same as comedy, right? You go, you have your 3 shows, you kind of.
I think so.
And then you figure it out over time.
Check this. Hold on. Check this one out.
Let me see what we got.
You see that?
Yeah. Okay.
No?
That's pretty good.
No, you.
Listen, I don't even know how you did that. I can't even do magic. So that's the props in the world.
That's the point, is you don't know how I did that.
Give me one more. Give me one more trick.
I'm going to do it one more time, huh?
Okay.
Two, right.
That's pretty good, man.
Not bad, right? Not bad. I mean, the other ones I have to have you here, and you got to pick a card and all that stuff. So it's.
Oh, I'm down. One day we'll do this. I'm excited.
We'll do this.
Dude, these kids these days and their ability to use technology is absolutely insane.
It's insane, man. We had dial-up. I'm sure you had dial-up back in the day.
Well, I grew up without internet first, so. I'm quite a bit older than you. So when you're telling me about how old you were and what year, bro, I had already graduated college. I'd already been living in California for a couple years. I already started my businesses.
Crazy.
So I'm almost 40, and I'm taking it you're like in your mid-20s.
I just turned 30.
Okay, so I'm 8 years older than you are. So when dial-up was around, I was in high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, when smartphones came out, I was already out of college.
Oh, damn. Yeah, I know. It's crazy, man. It's crazy what these kids are growing up with and what they can do. It's wild. Anyway, so back to me bombing.
Yes.
So I call my girl on my Motorola Razr, and it's Saturday. I remember what day it was. It's kind of important to the story. So it's Saturday. I call and I go, babe, I just bombed 3 times in a row. I think I should quit. I should probably quit comedy. And she was like, no, don't quit. Like, you're funny. Like, you had 3 bad shows. Like, everyone has bad shows. It happens. And I was like, no, I'm like really like silence. Like, I went up to silence 3 times in a row. It was bad. So while I'm on the phone, I get another call coming in, and I'm like, hold on one second, I'm driving too. I'm very irresponsible 19-year-old. So I switch over, and it's the owner of the club. And the owner of the club's like, yo, where are you? And I was like, what do you mean, where am I? I'm like, I'm driving on like Peachtree and whatever. Why do you need to know where I am? He's like, I got you that show on Saturday. And the thing is, the owner of the club just thought I would know. He was like, I was at the club on a Wednesday, and he was like, I'm gonna get you on the show on Saturday. He just thought I would know where it is, what
Right.
time it is. I thought I would get an email or some confirmation or something.
Right.
He vouched for me, and I was on the show, and it was like 8:30 or something. The show started at 8. I'm late, you know. So now I'm in my 19-year-old brain. I'm like, I ruined my career. I'm late to my job. This is ridiculous, you know, whatever. So I rushed to the show. He gives me directions because it was I had no Google Maps. So I was like, go left on what? And then Peachtree, and then right on, okay. And then keep going straight, and then which diner? And then, you know, and so I had to get to the show. I get there, and the guy who was hosting the show was really nice. I walked in, and I thought I walked into a hostile situation where he was like, where the fuck were you? You know, I thought it was that type of deal. And I walk in, and he was so nice. He was the nicest dude. And he was super nice. He was like, hey, man, you're going up next. And I was like, barely prepared. I think it was like a 7-minute set or something. I go up, and I just fucking kill, just destroy. After getting off the phone with my girl and being like, I should quit comedy. And then I took that as a sign to keep going. I was like, I was complaining in my car about sucking at comedy, bombing 3 times in a row. I get a phone call that's like, where are you? I'm supposed to be on stage right now. I run to the thing. I kill. This is another funny part of the story. Do you know Kumail Nanjiani?
Yes.
Like the Big Sick and Stuber and stuff. He was there. He was at this show. So this was 2009. He wasn't famous or anything. There was a show called Franklin and Bash on USA. I don't know if you remember this show. Well, he was filming that show in Atlanta, my hometown, where I started comedy. And he was in town to film this show. And he was there. I'll never forget. I had a video camera with me because I had one in my car. I ran in, and I never met Kumail before. I go to him, and I go, hey, man, like, I'm up next. Do you mind filming my set? And he goes, good, put it on the table and right here and, you know, press it. I was like, all right, whatever. He didn't want to do it. And I was like, all right, cool. So he put it on the table, and he recorded it. And then I went up, had a great set. And the show was a tag team show where you bring up the next comedian on the show. And so I had to bring up Kumail. Never met him before. I wrote his name down on a piece of paper, and I put it on this stool. I do my set. At the end of my set, I'm like, thank you guys, I'm Neel Nanda. And I go, give it up for your next comic. I look down, and I go, Kumail Nanjiani. Just totally fuck up his name, right? And then he goes up and immediately goes, really? Really? The one brown person on this show doesn't know how to say my name? Really? And it was so funny. And he was hilarious. He murdered. And what's funny is I kept the video recording. So I recorded his set too. I have no idea where this camera is or that footage is. But that was one of my first shows I ever did. And Kumail was there. So nice after the show as well. We hung out afterwards. His wife, his now wife, his girlfriend at the time, Emily, was there. The one that he wrote the movie about was there. Super sweet. And it was just a really surreal moment. And it was funny because at the time I had no idea who he was. I didn't know he was going to be who he is now. This fucking jacked Marvel character. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah, dude got jacked.
Believe me, I saw that. I'm going to gloss over my story. Like you, I was an outcast. No one liked me. Even like the kids on the low end of the totem pole, right? Like the band geeks and the nerds and all that, which was kind of a thing in my time. If you play band or you're in drama, you're kind of like the low of the low. Those kids wouldn't hang out with me.
Right.
Marvel Comics got me through like years of tumultuous time. Bro, Captain America, Spider-Man were like my heroes.
Right.
And so I'm living my best life right now. I have a Captain America action figure literally looking at me while I do all these interviews with you guys. I have freaking Marvel posters. Like my wife has banished all my Marvel stuff to the garage. I have literally every Marvel DVD downstairs, all of them. My wife always gives me a hard time. I have Captain America t-shirts. I've got Spider-Man freaking, bro, I've got all kinds of Marvel stuff. My room is like, we've rearranged my room. My wife had seen a couple of my podcasts and was disgusted with the fact that my home office is in our room.
We get it. You're a virgin.
You can't freaking, oh, dude. She's like, this weekend, we literally redid the entire bedroom and home office so that basically all you can see is my amazing closet door.
Oh, so that's a door. That was a wall.
Yeah. So yeah, it looks like a wall, but no, it's in fact a closet door.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So yeah, so Marvel's my jam. So I definitely
So you
yeah,
saw
he got
Jack
shape
Kumail,
for that,
yeah.
man. He's yoked.
Exactly. So yeah, that was Kumail, and it was crazy. I met him then. He's I've worked with him since. He's been super nice. His wife has been super sweet. It was funny. He had a show in LA called The Meltdown. I don't know if you
Okay.
remember that. It's a very popular show, maybe the most popular independent show in Los Angeles. Hardest show to get on. It took me 4 years to get on the show. 4 years. And when I booked it, I remember I booked it in like March or something. I emailed them. We went back and forth with dates stuff, and it was like a March or something. And they're like, "All right, are you available in October?" And I was like, "Jesus, that's how far you're booked out." So I remember doing the show, and the show ended. It was the last show was the week after I did it, so I got very lucky that I got to even do the show. I remember Kumail introduced me. He goes, "This is his first time doing the show, and definitely his last." And I was like, just super sweet, super funny. But yeah, Kumail's always been a really cool guy. And I met him when I was 19. It was a really surreal, cool experience. And so yeah, I took that as a sign to keep going.
People ask me all the time, they say, "Hey man, you're a stand-up comedian now. Are your parents proud of you?" And I always tell them the same thing. I said, my dad moved to this country. When he moved here, his dream was having a son, and he wanted to give that son the opportunity to do whatever he wanted with his life. And his nightmare was that it would be a stand-up comedian. Like, I'm pretty sure my dad would wake up in the middle of the night like, "Oh my God." My mom... And my mom would be like, "What, Madhu, what is wrong? What is happening?" And he'd be like, "I just had a dream that our son was a stand-up comedian. I don't..." And he was talking shit about me at the comic strip. It was crazy, man.
The fact that I got a phone call when I was complaining about sucking and wanting to quit, and the phone call was, "Where are you? Why aren't you on stage?" To me, I took it, and I did well. I took that as a sign to keep going. And
So what was it like being on these late night shows and stuff, man? Like let's get to that spot. So your career takes off, and so you start getting these bookings and calls, and like what has that been like for you?
It's insane, man. It's really crazy. Because when I started, I had set out a lot of goals. Like doing late night, getting a set on Comedy Central, things like that, and it's one of those things where it always comes at a time when I'm not focused on the goal. I'm more focused on the work. I'm more focused on just improving and being better. And I remember, for example, when I moved to LA, I was here for a little while. LA is the hardest place, I think, in the world to get stage time. I've traveled all over the world, man. I've been to Europe. I've performed in Mexico. I've performed in Canada. I've performed all over the country. And Los Angeles is the hardest place to get stage time because I'm competing with Dave Chappelle, Sarah Silverman, Amy Schumer. I'm competing with everybody at all times. Like, I came to your gym in Orange County because I had 0 shows in LA. There was one week I remember I had 2 shows or something in LA. I said, "Fuck this. I'm going out of town." I booked 21 shows in San Francisco because I was like, it's just LA is the most competitive place to get stage time. So I remember I was focused on the goal. I was like, I'm in LA for a reason. I want to do television. I want to do late night. I want to do film. I want to do a Comedy Central set, for example. And it was like 2014, 2015, and I was on lineup with a bunch of dudes that had been on Comedy Central, who had done Conan, who had done all this stuff. And in my head, I'm a psychopath. In my head, I was like, "Yo, I'm going to go on stage and blow them out of the water." That's my goal. My goal isn't, I'm not going to be on TV tomorrow. But right now, my goal is to go on stage and make it unfollowable, to where I go up and this dude is afraid to follow me. Or I go up on stage and when everybody leaves, I'm clearly everybody's favorite. So I had that in my head for like 6 months. For like 6 months, every time I went out, I was on lineups with dudes who had been on, Conan, Comedy Central, Kimmel, whatever. And in my head, I was like, yo, my competitive attitude is I'm going to blow them out because I had some sort of resentment of like, I deserve that, but I'm going to prove that I can be better without having any of these accolades. So because I was just focused on killing, I wasn't focused on booking anything. I was just focused on killing. Word started to spread. I started to get better and bigger shows. I started to get passed at clubs and things like that. And the story, I guess my first real television credit was Comedy Central's Adam Devine's House Party.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar. You know Adam Devine?
Yeah. I do.
Coolest dude on the planet. The nicest dude on the planet. I'll tell you a real fun story about him in a minute and why he's the coolest dude. But I had done a Comedy Central showcase. To get that, you have to showcase for Comedy Central. And I had actually forced my way onto this showcase. It's actually a pretty funny story. I was hosting a show at a club in Santa Monica every Friday night. It was my night. And Comedy Central approached me and they go, hey, Neel, could we do a showcase on Friday night at the club? We need your permission. And because it was my night, I owned the night. And, I paid the rent of the theater. I did all that stuff. So they were like, we need your permission. I was like, okay, but only if you put me on the showcase. And they were like, no. And I was like, all right, well, can I host it? Can I host the showcase? And they're like, you can host it, but that doesn't make you eligible for anything on Comedy Central. And I was like, I'll take it. Fuck it. So I go up there. I host the shit out of it, dude. Same mentality. My mentality was I'm gonna make it. I hosted it so good nobody was able to follow my hosting set, which is unheard of. I've seen it happen before, and I witnessed it happen when I did it. But I've seen it happen, but it's very, very rare that the host blows the show out of the water. Very rare. So I kill it. In my head, I'm like, all right, yo, I'm getting a show. I'm getting a show on Comedy Central. It's over. Nothing. No meeting, no handshake, nothing. No email, thank you. Just nothing at all. Nothing. So a year goes by. I continue to, keep trying to kill it, do my stuff. And they email me again. They go, hey, Neel, can we do a night Friday night at the theater? We'd love to do another showcase. And I was like, all right, cool. But you got to have me on it. Like, you saw what happened last year. And then they go, no. I was like, what? This is insane. So I was like, well, can I host? They go, you can host it. You're not eligible for anything. I was like, oh, this is ridiculous. So I ended up actually getting an offer to go to San Francisco on that date to headline. Do you know what the Purple Onion is?
Uh-uh.
So the Purple Onion is a very famous club. Zach Galifianakis did his first special there.
Okay.
And they had a dropout. Somebody famous was supposed to headline. They dropped out. And they hit me up last night. Hey, Neel, could you headline it? And it happened to be on that day. But I was getting paid so much more to go to San Francisco and headline that club. So I had to say, money-wise, financially, I had to say no to Comedy Central. So I hit them up, and I let them know. I flexed on them. I'm like, hey, I can't make it. I'm so sorry. I'm headlining the Purple Onion in San Francisco, blah, blah. And they were like, and they hit me back like, you're headlining Purple Onion? I was like, yeah. They're like, all right, we'll get you a date. So they got me a date. I did it. So I blew it out of the water. I didn't hear anything for months, maybe like 3 to 6 months. I heard nothing. And I was just like, I guess I didn't book anything. And then I got a phone call from Adam Devine. Adam Devine called me out of nowhere and was like, hey, man, I just want you to know I saw your tape from that showcase, and it was a no-brainer. I had to have you on the show. And that was mind-blowing to me. This is, dream come true, and I get to go to Hawaii to film this. It was unbelievable. And this is why Adam's a cool dude. So I book it, I go to Hawaii, and I get off the plane, and I'm in this shuttle bus with all the comics. And I'm in the bus, and I go, hey, is anybody hungry? It was a long flight to Hawaii. Can we, stop at, a McDonald's or, a Burger King or something? I'm hungry. And they go, Adam's got a luau planned for you guys. I'm like, what? And he's like, Adam's got a luau. Just chill. So we get to the hotel. We check in. and they give us directions to the luau, which is on a private beach, like almost a mile. It's almost a mile. It was like a 20-minute walk from the hotel on a private beach. We go to this private beach, beautiful luau. There's fucking dancers. There's a pig roast, and there's all this stuff. This is why Adam is the coolest dude on the planet. I go, man, you know what would be really cool is if we had a joint. I would love to smoke some weed right now. There's a beautiful sunset. We're in Hawaii. There's dancers, roasting pig and vegetables, and it's amazing. And Adam was like, I got you. I go get you some weed. I was like, no, you don't have to do that. So Adam goes around. He finds me somebody on the crew, some like DP or AD or some you know, I don't know, maybe a PA or something has weed on them. They roll a joint, and we all get in a circle, all the comedians and Adam Devine get in a circle, and the PA, whoever had the weed. And we have this joint. There's like 6 of us, and we're sitting in a circle. And this is how you know Adam is the coolest dude on the planet. The guy hands him the joint because he's Adam Devine. He's the star of the show. Hands him the joint, and he goes, no, Neel asked for it. You hit it first. I was like, you're the coolest dude on the planet. You are the coolest man I've ever met. I'll never forget that one simple gesture. That one gesture just shows you what kind of character this person is, you know?
You know, it's funny. So I grew up in a bad neighborhood, and I've seen people get stabbed, you know, over drugs, and some people have died and all that. And, you know, I unfortunately hurt people and being involved in gangs and all that. When I was younger, I have 2 younger sisters, and my story's irrelevant, but I've always been like 100% anti-drugs. Mm-hmm. Never smoked. I smoked one time when I was in high school. I was getting initiated. I got jumped in, got beat up by like 11 guys, smoked some weed afterwards, and went like my wounds at home and basically hid in my room for a couple of days so nobody could see the whipping I took. I was bruised up pretty good. Yeah. That was the only time I ever smoked. And my wife, Tara, she has to use a vape pen with, like, you know, the oils and stuff in it, because she gets these crazy migraines. And if she takes her medication and she doesn't smoke, she'll just throw up the migraine medication, and it's pointless. Yeah. And so at first, when we first got married, she didn't do it. And so she'd take these pills and she'd be yakking everywhere. We'd go to the hospital a couple of times. And finally I was like, dude, like, is this normal? And she's like, well, no, I usually would just hit my vape pen, but, you know, based on what, you know, you have a zero tolerance for this stuff. I was like, well, I guess I'm going to rethink that strategy, right? Like, do it. You know, I have a client who has a medical card. At the time that was still required, and she got it through her. So I was like, look, as long as you do it the legal way, I'm good with it. Anyway, so fast forward. So I started getting these crazy migraines to the point where I can't sleep, eat, drink, nothing. And so one night I had to use the vape pen, and bro, I tried driving afterwards. I thought the police were chasing me down. I was probably going like 5 miles per hour. Right. And it was probably, the speed limit was probably like 20, 25. It was going through a neighborhood. I was so paranoid, like beyond paranoid. I ended up, we're like a half mile from my house, mind you, right? From the point of me freaking out when this hit, I drove back towards the bar we were at where we had dinner, parked in a place I shouldn't even parked, abandoned the car. We caught an Uber, got home, went and picked it up the next day. And that was my really first experience with it. And then, I have to use it now and then. We have a pin here. I'm sure I'll do another podcast one day on the use of marijuana. And as long as you use it responsibly and you're not negatively affecting anybody, I've done research on it now, so I don't really care. But when I was younger, that was like a nada for me, man.
Yeah, it's so funny because everyone, it's medicinal, it's good for you, your anxiety. It's like, yo, it's still a drug. There's medicine out there for what you need, but it's still a drug. I mean, it are definitely. I've seen studies with patients that have Parkinson's and stuff like that, and it helps them, and glaucoma and whatever, stuff like that. But like 95% of the people who smoke weed don't got glaucoma. Don't.
I guess talking about right, 100%. Right, but if you're gonna use a drug, it's a safe drug to use as opposed to freaking meth and crack and heroin. Right?
I wasn't on the beach in Hawaii. Like, I wish I had some meth, dude. Like,
right?
Could you get some fucking crank right now? What's up? But yeah, so that was cool. Adam was a super cool dude. I performed in Hawaii, and it was one of the best sets of my life. It was so funny. The set was really funny because it airs as a 5-minute set, right?
Right.
But I performed 12 minutes.
Okay.
So they cut, 7 minutes out of it. They're like, hey, perform 10 to 12 minutes, and we'll pick, our favorite 5 or the best 5.
Okay.
And I remember being on stage. I did the opener, and then about 2-3 minutes into the set, I'm fucking smashing. Like, it's like applause break city. I'm killing it, dude. It's like my fucking ego is up here. I'm fucking having the time of my life. I remember being on that stage going, oh, there's no way they're not using this. I'm fucking this is amazing. This is gonna look so good on TV. Then I cut to watching it, like 3-4 months later. I'm watching it. They put my opener. They cut out the entire middle, closer. That was the whole set. They cut out all the shit where I was and it's funny because one of my favorite comedians in the country right now has a joke it's hilarious and it's gone viral online. I did that joke years before him on that show. They just never aired it. I would have been first. And I was a little butthurt about that, but it's it's a good joke. I'm glad he has it and people know I stopped doing it, obviously. But it was just funny because it was like, man, had they put that in there, I would have been first. But yeah, editing is crazy, man. That's one thing that sucks about doing network television or performing on network television is all the editing and stuff that goes into your set. And a lot of times you'll see comments like, oh, yeah, that joke wasn't funny. It's like sometimes not the joke the comedian wanted to do. Or it was cut out. The punchline that they wanted was cut or whatever. So, but overall, it was a really good experience. It was a really great set. And, dude, being in Hawaii, the Adam Devine and all these comedians, some of my good friends. There was a comedian who I started comedy with when I was 19 who also was in the same episode I was in on Adam Devine's house party. So that was really – and I hadn't seen him in probably 6 or 7 years. So it was really cool to, like, have this reunion in Hawaii with an old friend.
That's cool. So what would you say is like your biggest accomplishment to date so far? Your favorite moment that you've kind of conquered?
When I started comedy, my goal was to just headline. All I wanted to do was to headline a club and do an hour in a club. And all these accomplishments that I've had, whether it's like Comedy Central or doing late night with Jimmy Kimmel and stuff like that, that was like a means to an end. I wanted to do that to headline. And now that I'm able to headline clubs and do an hour and to draw people from whether it's my social media or television credits and stuff like that, is a dream come true. That's, I think, maybe my greatest accomplishment is that all I still want to do, it's still very difficult to headline. I mean, I amassed, dude, it's crazy all the shit I've done that you haven't seen. Like I did a set on Hulu, Amazon, I've done Kimmel, I've done Comedy Central, did something on Oxygen, I did something on NBC Digital, I did an ABC Digital thing, I was in a Blumhouse movie, I got murdered in a hospital, it was a horror movie. There's so many things I've done that people haven't seen. I've only done that stuff to be able to headline shows, and I still can barely headline shows because I'm competing with the D'Elias and the Brennans and the Schumers and the Chappelles.
I mean, how many? Like, there's only so many Chappelles and Kevin Harts and Amy Schumers,
right. So many of them are doing theater, so I'm not even in that ballpark. As far as like clubs go, a lot of these Schumers and blah blah and Harts and whatever, they work out their theater hour in the clubs. So priority goes to them. If Chappelle wants to do 20 clubs, I'm not getting in those clubs anytime soon. So he runs his theater hours or his specials. Even Kevin Hart did the Laughing Skull for a month. The Laughing Skull is the club where I started. and it's 86 seats. It's a small club. Kevin Hart did that every day for a month to work on his hour. So it's there's levels to it. You know, even these huge people will not only will they headline a lot of these clubs, they'll drop in. So a lot of times I'm supposed to do a half hour, I'm supposed to do 15, or I'm supposed to do whatever, and somebody will show up and I'm not on the show anymore. Or I'm doing a guest set. I'm doing 7 minutes, whatever. That happens a lot. But
so you get paid the headline, and then if they bump you from headlining, that cuts what you get paid, or they still pay you that anyway?
They generally, it depends. Usually, you know, getting bumped from headlining is pretty rare. But I get bumped from a lot of like club spots. I get bumped from a lot of like 15, and they'll usually reschedule me or say they'll reschedule me. So I will get paid anyways. But a lot of times, like these people, these comics that drop in don't want or need the money. And that's the most frustrating thing too, is Russell Peters, and no shade on Russell Peters. I love Russell Peters. One of the guys who got me into stand-up. I'll host a night at the Improv, and they'll pay me $25 to host, which is bullshit. And I'll host and do $25, and I'll see Russell Peters will pull up in his Bentley. He'll pull up in his Bentley and make 5 to 10 times as much as me to do 20 minutes. And I'm just like, he doesn't need it. Not even does he. He made $100 million one year doing stand-up. $100 million. Do you think giving him 250 and giving me 20, like, do you think he gives a shit about that $200? He doesn't give a fuck. He's there to work out his material, but the system doesn't take care of up-and-comers at all.
So let me ask you this then. So, I mean, comedy's obviously competitive, especially in the LA market, like you were mentioning. So, I mean, how are you able to make a stable income, or do you kind of already have all that worked out and you know, like, okay, I know I'm making this much because this many shows were booked. Next month I only have these, so now I got to book these. Like, I don't know any of this stuff, so sure. I guess it'd be good to understand that.
Nearly impossible to make a living doing this, but I do fairly well because I hustle very hard. I do between 30 and 50 shows a month when this coronavirus shit's not going on. I do like 30 to 50 shows a month. I make money on the road headlining, and I do colleges. Colleges pay a lot of money. I also do corporates because I'm Indian, and a lot of tech companies want to hire Indian comedians because they got hella Indian people. So I probably do like, 10 to 20 corporates a year. I probably do 10 to anywhere from, I've done up to 80 colleges a year. And yeah, that was a crazy year. And so I do, so that pays like one college or one corporate is rent, just one.
Damn.
So you just got to do one of those a month. Also, I produce shows. I produce my own shows, and I'm not going to disclose how much I make doing it, but it's more than I deserve. So, because it's funny because so many comedians are like, first of all, I can't believe I'm throwing so much shade at this club, but I pay comedians more than the Improv pays comedians. The Hollywood Improv, a club that's been established for 60, 70 years, forever. They've been there forever. They pay comedians an insult, like to the point where I want to go, just keep it. That's how insulting. I've been paid an $8 check from them before. I literally almost said, keep it. I'm not claiming. You want me to claim this on my taxes? You want me to claim $8? It's pitiful. But my point is, I pay comedians well above that when I do shows. Don't Tell does too, by the way. Don't Tell is really great. They pay comedians fairly. No, I'm not kidding. I'm not just saying that because I'm talking to you. There are establishments that pay comedians well. They're few and far between. I would say 10% of the shows in LA pay a decent amount. They're few and far between. The way that the clubs work is they pay up-and-comers dog shit, and they pay the headlining comedians a lot of money. There's no middle ground. And the fucked up part about it is 90% of those headlining comedians don't give a shit because you know, Russell Peters may make $200 at the Improv today, but he's going to fucking Ohio next week and making $540,000. You know what I mean? Doing a giant theater. You know what I'm saying? So he doesn't give a shit, but they want to keep their talent happy and sell tickets and whatever. I get it. I understand the system.
So is it like a lot of people that are in comedy, are they trying to get to the place where like you see the elites, like the Dane Cooks and I mean, not that he's relevant anymore, but like the Kevin Harts and the Dave Chappelles and the Amy Schumers and like, is that kind of like, so in the world of comedians, they're all trying to get to that spot where now they're getting shows and movies and, you know, headlining these big Netflix specials. And
exactly. I call that the 1% of comedy. Those are the 1%. The Chappelles and the Harts and the Schumers, those are the 1%. Like 99.99. I'm sound like Bernie Sanders. All of a sudden. 99%. No, but
that's crazy. So, you know, first off, I didn't even know it was that competitive. You know, I had no idea.
Insanely competitive. There are 7 billion people in the world. I would say 6 billion people think they're comedians. So maybe more than that. It's very competitive. So that's one of the things, like, you know, you were asking me, like, you know, what are the highlights and stuff. Just being able to perform, just being able to headline is a blessing. I don't take it for granted. I've been doing comedy for 10 years now, and I worked really, really fucking hard to just barely headline. And I continue to work very, very, very hard. You follow my Instagram. You see, I put out clips every week, new material. I've dropped almost 2 hours of material. No network, no bullshit, like no, you know, Netflix or Comedy Central. Nobody's pushing it. I'm doing it all on my own, just so I can build followers to sell tickets, so that clubs will give me 1 or 2 weekends a month.
Is that the best way for people to find out when you're doing shows and where you're doing them? Do you announce it on your Instagram?
I do announce it on my Instagram. I have a website, you know.
What's your Instagram and what's your website for people that are watching this?
So it's at Neel Nanda, NeelNanda is my Instagram. And my website is just my name.com, neelnanda.com, NeelNanda.com. And when I have shows, I've canceled all my shows. I've lost out on a lot of money because of this thing. All my gigs are canceled. The shows I produce are canceled. I was supposed to go to.
It's killing me. Like, oh my gosh, dude! I was just telling my one of my business mentors actually yesterday, because he's asking how we're doing. I'm like, dude, you know, it's different, right? We're living a different lifestyle now. I was like, bro, my 5 biggest months for myself financially: March, April, May, June, July. Well, this hit in March, so there's that month gone. This goes through April, that month's gone. May is going to be recovery month. So I'm not even, and June and July, let's be honest, it's not going to be the same. So I'm just like, dude, I'm taking L's this year.
I think it's going to be the fall before we start seeing things.
I might have to start. Well, comedy's clearly not going to be my side hustle, since you just told me you got paid $8 Dude, that's not going to work.
I had to thank them for that. Thank you so much. Oh, I appreciate it. Because again, one of the things that's fucked up about Los Angeles in general, one thing that's cool about, I'll give this leg up to New York. New York pays comedians very well. They pay comedians properly. You can make a living in New York City if you're doing spots. If you're doing 5 to 10 spots a week in New York, you can pay your rent. You know, and that's doable. You know, very doable in New York. In LA, 90% of shows, that's an exaggeration. 75% of shows do not pay at all. Just $0. So when you go to the Improv and they give you $8, you're supposed to kiss their feet. You're supposed to go, oh, thank you so much for this $8 of work. You know, like I got, you know what I mean? Like there was one day where I did 3 spots. They have 2 different rooms of the Improv. And so I did 2 in the small room, 1 in the main room, right? And I sign out. You have to sign out for your money. And I sign out for my money. And the dude hands me $20. And in my head, I go, oh, that's probably just for one show. He'd probably pay me after the other sets. And he goes, well, that's for all the shows. I almost fought this man who was the messenger. He didn't make the rules. He's
Right.
the sound guy. He didn't know. He gave me $20 for 3 shows. I was there for 4 hours.
How does that work though?
$5 an hour.
That's just crazy. I mean, like they're making money from drinks, from food, from people paying to get in. So I love improv, right? So I've gone to the improv up in Yorba Linda. I've gone to the improv here in Irvine, and my wife and I have gone. And like, first of all, the tickets, like, and we've gone on, we've gone a couple of times where it was like a bigger comedian. We've gone where it's like up and comers because I like both, right? So like for those nights of up and comers, we're still paying like $40 a ticket, right? So that's $80. Mm-hmm. We're eating there, we're drinking. I mean, when all said and done, that's a $200 night for us.
Yeah, and that comedian, whoever, which improv do you go to, like Irvine or something?
We go to Irvine Spectrum, and we go up to the Yorba Linda Spectrum as well.
So the headliner is getting paid handsomely, just so you know, just so you don't feel horrible. The feature, whoever is going up right before him, is probably getting $100 to $200 a set. Which is not horrible for him, you know, because if he does 6 shows, he can make $1,200, you know, or whatever. And the host is probably making $50, maybe. And it's a really fucked up. The way it is this is a system that was built in the 70s and 80s, and we have had no inflation of our pay, 0 inflation. That's why it's so competitive. That's why everyone's trying to be the 1%, you know. So that's why I am very blessed and fortunate that I can headline, that I can do colleges, that I can do corporates, that I do produce my own shows. And it's insane because the amount of money, I'm just an independent producer. I'm not the club, okay? I pay a rent at the club to be able to produce a show. I pay a rent, and then I make back a percentage, not even all the ticket sales. I make back a percentage of the ticket sales, and I pay the comedians. And I make a ton of money. I'm not making any drinks. I'm not making any of, I'm only making a percentage of the ticket sales. So, really? Yeah, so the club is making money and can pay. It's not that they can't pay comedians.
Right. It's
just that they're not. And it's so competitive that comedians are okay with it. They're just okay with it. We're just like, hey, I'm just happy to be. It's so hard to get on stage for 10 minutes in Los Angeles. It is nearly impossible to get on stage in Los Angeles for 10 minutes that you'll take the $8. You'll take and you'll be thankful for it. You'll be grateful for it.
And that's, it almost sounds like, I mean, I know that I got into doing some modeling and some, stuff when I first moved to California just to kind of pay bills too. And I mean, even if you're not doing anything that's big, like you're still getting paid some good money, man. Like,
yeah,
photos that I'm sure never,
dude,
things never made anywhere, and I still got paid pretty well, So,
my dream when I was a kid, I used to watch, Late Night at the Improv, and I used to watch I watched that movie Funny People where they go up at the Improv.
Yep,
like, man, someday I'm gonna go to LA and I'm gonna be on that stage. I'm gonna be making money like those real dudes. And now I'm like getting on that stage, walking away with $8. Yeah. It's really ridiculous. I think the way to do it now is to do what I'm doing, put out all your stuff on social media, draw people to your shows, give clubs, give places a reason to book you and to pay you. And I learned that from, do you know Andrew Schulz? Are you familiar with Andrew Schulz?
The name's familiar. I'm just trying to remember who that is.
So, very funny comedian. He has built his entire empire of comedy online through podcasting, through putting out a stand-up, through doing all this like revolutionary work on social media and the internet. And he taught me everything I know. He's the reason that I went from having 6,000 followers to having 45,000 followers in barely a year, because he taught me how to build that, how to put out my stuff, when to put it out, all that kind of stuff. And he's changed my life, man. He really has. I've been able to headline. I've been able to do draw people to shows. I've been able to make fans in all over the world because of the internet. So there's a way to work around the industry and to work around doing the clubs and stuff like that. And once you can draw, once you show up at a club and they notice that you're putting butts in seats, they'll book you and they'll pay you correctly.
That's good. Okay, cool. That's awesome, man. Well, that's quite the journey, and that's man. I had no idea about most of the stuff, dude. So let me ask you. This is really. I'll make this kind of my last question. I know we've been going for a little while here, but now that some of these people that are, I mean, A-list actors and actresses and A-list celebrity personalities. This is just because I'm curious. I mean, have you hung out with any of these people?
Yeah, I mean, I'll do shows with some of these people. I'll tell you my favorite, or one of my favorite stories is an Adam Sandler story.
Oh, yes. I love Adam Sandler. Please.
The greatest. He's the greatest, dude. Super, super nice guy. Super cool. And so I stalked him is how I met him. I was in Santa Monica. So I produced a show in Santa Monica at the West Side Comedy Theater. When all this stuff is over, go to the West Side Comedy Theater. The greatest, I think the best club in Los Angeles, hands down. Okay. It is amazing. So I'm at the West Side Comedy Theater 30 minutes before my show. It's 7:30. My show starts at 8. And my girlfriend is eating sushi at a restaurant a block away. And the restaurant has like glass windows where you can see outside, glass doors and everything, where you can see outside into the street. And she texts me. She goes, "Babe, Adam Sandler's outside of the sushi restaurant." And I'm like, you're a crazy person. Why the fuck would Adam Sandler? It's the most touristy spot. You know Santa Monica Pier?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know 3rd Street Promenade right there?
Yeah.
That's where this restaurant is. Why would Adam Sandler be at the most, basically in Times Square, you know?
Right.
Why would he be there? So I'm texting her back. I'm like, you're a crazy person. There's no way Adam Sandler's right there. And she was like, no, babe, he's right. I'm looking at him right now. So I'm talking to somebody at the theater, and I go, I got to go. And I run a block and a half, and she tells me what he's wearing. So I see him in the distance, and he's walking away. So I run up to him. I catch my breath because I don't want to look like a psychopath. So I catch my breath, I calm down, and then I walk up to him. I do a double take, like a little quick, oh, hey. And he knows he's Adam Sandler. He understands why I'm staring at him. Super nice guy. He's stopped. He's with his wife. And he goes, oh, hey, how you doing? How's it going? And I was horrible Adam Sandler impression. Yeah, but do, or what? I can't do it. So he stops, and I talk to him for a few minutes. And I'm like, hey, man, sorry to bother you. Huge fan. I produce a show at this theater. And he had done the theater before. He's like, oh, yeah, I know the West Side Theater. It's a great place. And I was like, yeah, man, I would love, the show starts in half an hour. Would you stop by? And he was like, I'm not dressed. He was wearing a T-shirt with a hole in it and basketball shorts. Because when you're a millionaire, who gives a fuck? You can wear whatever. His wife was dressed beautifully. She had a nice coat on.
Listen, I can speak right now as a man. Like, I've done well financially, and I've had some tough years financially. My wife always looks immaculate, and then she's helping me because I'm just like,
I don't give a
fuck. Let's go Seahawks. Let's go.
Let's go, man. So so I go, dude, would you please stop by? I'd love to, have you on the show. And he was like, yo, he's like, I don't have any new material. You young guys are so much funnier than me. Just lying to me. And I was like, look, man, I would love to have you. We're there every Friday night at 8 o'clock. You can come by anytime. You can do as much time as you want. Because the theater and I have a rule together where if somebody famous drops in, we don't bump anybody. I think that's the way to do it. Somebody famous drops in, we extend the show. We make it longer, and the next show gets bumped, and they tell them, hey, sorry, the show starting half an hour late because Adam Sandler dropped in the last show. Now your theater has more prestige. Oh, wow, that's crazy. So anyways, so this was like November or something. I ran into him. He leaves. I never see him again. January comes around. It's like the second week of January. I still remember. It was last year. So last year, January, I'm at my show. I'm on stage. And I perform my show every Friday. So there are nights where I absolutely kill. There are nights where I do okay. There's nights where I do well. And there are nights where I just eat a dick. I just bomb my ass off. Because I'm trying. It's my show. I don't care. I'm bombing, whatever. This happened to be one of those nights, one of those magical nights where I'm connecting with the audience, and I'm just killing. It's just one of the best shows I've had in a long time. I was doing new material. I was doing crowd work. It was just one of those magical nights where everything connected. I'm on stage and I get off, and the theater has a very strict time where we have to be out of the theater by 9:45 because there's a show at 10.
Right.
So I get off stage at like 9:32 or something.
Okay.
So the last comedian has to go on stage like immediately and do his 10, 15 minutes so we can get out of there on time.
Right.
I get to the green room. The last comedian was sitting there backstage just texting on his cell phone. And I go, yo, dude, like, you got to go. We got to get out of the theater in like 10 minutes. And he goes, nah, man, I'm after Sandler. I said, what? And he goes, I'm after Adam Sandler. And I'm sitting in the green room. And I'm like, there's no Adam Sandler in the green room. So I'm so confused. I have no idea what's going on. I go, what are you talking about? He's like, Adam Sandler's here. I'm going after him. Like, what are you even saying? I had no idea what he was even saying. So I hear the host on stage going like, guys, give it up for Adam Sandler. I'm like, what the fuck? Adam Sandler is so famous. He can't walk through the club to get to the green room. He's so famous. He walked in and hid behind the bar. He's literally crouched down behind the bar, pops up, walks through the crowd, high fives everybody. Because he's Adam Sandler. I mean, fucking whatever. And then he jumps on stage. Because it's a high stage.
Yeah.
No steps, nothing. Just leaps on a stage. And so, I'm like, this is crazy. Adam Sandler's here. And it was really cool because he told the host, he was like, hey, I just want to do like 5 to 10 minutes. And I saw what happened to him up there. He was up there and he did like 5, 10 minutes. He was destroying, just absolutely demolishing the room. And what happened in his brain is he was like, I'm going to stay up here. And he did a half hour, and it was amazing. It was when he was preparing for that special. So he had songs prepared. He was doing like stories. It was really fucking cool. So he gets off stage, and I run to the door. There's only one exit at this theater. I run to the exit just to say thank you. I'm not trying to like get his number. I'm not trying to hang out or whatever. I just run to the door. I just want to be like, hey man, thank you so much for dropping by. That was awesome. It means a lot to me. So I run to the door, and he's there, and I go, hey man, thank you so much for stopping by. And he goes, oh yeah, you're the guy I ran into on the street. I was like, yeah. And he goes, were you on stage when I walked in? And I was like, yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know. I was like, yeah, I was right before you. And he goes, hey man, you're really funny. And I was like, what? And he has, it's funny because as a comic, we have this, when there's a show going on, we have the respect to just be like, hey man, like that was really fun. We're really quiet. We'll whisper to each other. There's a show going on. Adam Sandler is so famous, he probably doesn't even remember that shit, He's been out of comedy so long, he's like, I'll just fucking be loud. I don't give a shit. So he said it so loud that like a quarter of the crowd heard him say that, and he left. Everyone starts high-fiving me. Because like, yo, Adam Sandler just said you were funny. And I was like, I know. I started high-fiving everybody. It was insane. And it was a dream. I called my mom. It was like a whole thing, And since then, he has dropped into the show he dropped in 2 more times since then to work on that special.
Nice.
The one that he did on Netflix. And
I watched that special.
Huh?
I watched it.
Oh, it was great.
It was great.
A great special, yeah. It was an amazing special. So that was one of my favorite moments in comedy. I'm not like best friends with Adam Sandler. We don't hang out, but just the opportunity to be in the same room as him. He can drop in. He told me I was funny. That was fucking mind-blowing. He didn't have to do that. Could have just gone home. But he was super nice, super professional. When he shows up, he'd always the other times he showed up, he had his manager reach out to the club to make sure he didn't bump anybody, to make sure he wasn't ruining anybody's night. Very professional, really great guy, and definitely one of my favorite people I've met in comedy.
So I'm big in basketball, obviously, and I knew Kobe, not like, like my homies, but like we've interacted with each other multiple times. We both have girls programs and had talked a few times and coached against each other. And I actually literally sat not even literally my arm length, I could touch him. And that's how close we sat next to each other multiple times. And so I talked trash to him and stuff. And, I'm from Seattle, man. I'm a Supersonics fan. Not that they're around right now, but I respect Kobe's game, but I didn't know him. And I wasn't a big Kobe fan, to be honest. So I wasn't like, I'm not a Kobe hater,
Right.
but I was just like, you know, indifferent. Let's put it that way. And then getting to meet him, you know, when we first coached against each other, man, he came up to me, and then we built a acquaintanceship through that.
Right.
And when he passed away, I was coaching my girls team, and we were actually supposed to be doing some girls basketball stuff together. It was crazy, dude. Like, my phone was blowing up, had no idea what was going on. I thought it was my wife at first. And then I see like all these texts and calls and, you know, Kobe in the text message stream. And then I start looking around, seeing people crying and stuff. It's crazy. So, you know, those moments where you get to meet someone that, you know, for me, again, like, I'm a big basketball person, played my whole life, and he's obviously an iconic person.
Right.
Most chill guy I've ever met, bro. Like, again, I wasn't a big fan of his. I'm a huge MJ fan, but after getting the chance to meet him, you know, obviously multiple times, getting to talk to him and hang out with him a little bit and stuff, such a humble guy, man. Super cool. It was such a loss for the world of basketball, his passing, obviously his daughter and all those other little girls, man. Just as a girl dad myself, it hits you, dude. Like, it's tough, man. And, you know, it definitely sad and heartbroken for his family. But, you know, the thing that got me, because I'm not an emotional person, listening to the dad that lost his daughter and his wife, I was just like crying in my car while I was driving. I had to turn it off because I couldn't see. And it's just like, gosh, man, it's just crazy. But yeah, man, those are really cool moments. Let me ask you this: when you stood next to him, is he as tall as you? Is he taller, shorter?
Taller. He's taller. He's probably like 6'2", maybe. I'm a short guy, dude. I'm pretty small. I'm like,
bro, you probably don't remember us standing next to each other, but I'm 6'3".
Oh yeah. So yeah, he's probably around. Yeah, he's probably around your height. He's not a small guy. He's probably he's probably around 6 foot.
Wow.
Probably like 6 to 6'2", somewhere in that range. If I were to guess.
Okay, that's cool, man.
Yeah, he was. I definitely remember looking up.
That's cool.
I definitely remember being, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Yeah, I remember him.
It's cool to hear though that like he's such a down to earth person though. You know, like, so I train a lot of pro football players, pro athletes in general, I guess, Olympic athletes too, and basketball. So I actually have one of my guys getting drafted this year. So I'm going to go to his, let me rephrase this. I was going to go to his draft party. I think that's not going to happen now. But it is interesting being around people that are well known and have that celebrity status. And then how people, you know, I don't post these things on my social media. I don't really talk about it a whole lot because I don't want people to be like, well, oh, you know all these people here. Like, you're part of this crowd. It's like, no. I'm really part of just my own little self-made crowd of, you know, my homies that I've known for years. And, you know, like, yeah, I chop it up with some of these people, especially like pro basketball players, because I do stuff in that world still with all my stuff. And it was like, you know, we have really cool interactions and we like continue on with our lives. But I have friends that did play in the NBA for years.
That's right.
And like we hang out and have, you know, great times together. And it's just like, it's so different, like I'm sure from the outside looking in, but for us, like they come over with their families and we have a barbecue. Yeah. We hang out. We don't even talk about basketball. We talk about like just life, what's going on with our families, typically our kids, you know, and stuff. And maybe we'll talk about, you know, basketball a little bit, like, you know, what games we watched or college teams or something. But it's so funny because people, and I used to be one of these people. I grew up in a small town. So if you were on TV, I was just like, oh, you are this, you know, put you on this pedestal.
Right.
But it is quite interesting, you know, as you get older and if you're in that world, it's so vastly different, man. But people always like, well, if you know this person, like, do you know this person? It's like, what do you think I get? Like, I train a pro athlete or I'm in this little world and they give me a book with everybody's names and addresses and phone numbers. And I'm like, no, we have to meet each other the same ways.
Right.
We have to actually go meet each other somewhere, right? Or we have to know someone that knows them, and then we have to like text them first. Hey, this is so and so gave me a number. We met at this time, you know, or you know, usually now if I need to exchange information, I just do it right then and there.
Right.
And that way, okay, we already did the intro. Now when I text you, you know, like I've got a guy from the Raiders I'm going to be interviewing in a couple weeks, and I trained him. He actually came because of the kid that I train now that's going to be getting drafted this year. And And I know a few of the pro guys that I'm training now in the NFL are because of him.
That's insane.
Yeah, so it is funny, but it's like they all came through my front door. That's how we met. They walked into the gym, and at that point, we all, I trained them, and they wanted to train more. So then I got their information, and
Right.
most of these guys I don't even take pictures with.
Right. So yeah, I mean, like you were saying, you train a lot of these people. Having something of value for these people is the key, really. I produce a show in LA, so and everybody, including the biggest comedians in the world, need stage time. You know, I get texts or I get like emails from managers of some huge comedians, or they'll just walk in, they'll just show up. So I've met, like, I'm trying to think of, like, I mean, obviously Adam Sandler was the most famous person I met because I produced the show. But I mean, just everybody, Hannibal Buress, Damon Wayans has dropped by.
Yep.
Howie Mandel comes by all the time.
Really?
Yeah, he's really funny too.
All right, man. So I got to ask you, because this is something that somebody told me. Is he a germaphobe? Will he not shake people's hands? He only does the fist bump?
He fist bumps. He is a germaphobe. The funniest thing about it is he won't touch the microphone. So he has the host go up and put the microphone to his height so that he'll put his hands behind his back and he'll just talk into the microphone. And he's really funny. He's incredibly funny. I'm really surprised that, like, not that first of all, I'd never really seen his comedy before, so I didn't know. And also, like, he's a busy dude, America's Got Talent and all Deal or No Deal and all the shit he's doing, like, to have the time to come up with jokes and to be funny, it's time consuming. So when he would drop into the show, I would, like, in the back of my head, I'd be like, is he even gonna be funny? Then he would fucking destroy, dude. He would kill it every time he went up. He would have new jokes and he'd have shit to work on. He was real funny, really sweet guy. But yeah, he is a germaphobe. He will not touch anybody's hand. He keeps his hands in his pocket usually. He stays away from people. So he's probably bathing in Purell right now. He is freaking.
That freaking shortage we had, half of it's at his house. Yeah, you're right. He's probably just goes into a Purell bath every day, and he just sits there for a couple hours.
Probably swimming, doing laps in Purell right now. That's what Howie Mandel is doing right now.
He has a special company that ships in like a couple 100 gallons every week.
Yeah, but yeah, he's really cool. He drops in it depends on like when. I think he lives near the theater. I didn't ask his address, but sometimes I get a hint that, because some comedians will just show up. I'm like, oh, we're probably like a mile away from them, or like something like that. Yeah. I believe he lives in Santa Monica, like probably on the beach somewhere. 410-32. No, I'm just giving the address out. But he comes in for a while. He would just show up every week. There was like a 2 or 3 month stint where just every week he would show up and he's like, hey, can I go up? And he would always ask, which was it was the funniest part, because we never said no. We never like, oh, you can't go up. But he would always, hey, do you mind if I go? Yeah, of course. And we're like, when do you want to go? He's like, do you mind if I go next? He'd always want to go next. I don't want to get in and out and do back to his Purell or whatever. He's really sweet. One of the people I've known for a long time, and it's really fucking cool to see this happen, is so I started this show in LA 7 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so there were a lot of comics that I would book who weren't famous or popular then, but have become famous now. Some people like Roy Wood Jr., who's on The Daily Show, Hassan Minaj, I'm sure you know Hassan Minaj. I know
Hassan, yeah.
Yeah, Hassan and I, we used to open mic together.
Nice. So
we go way, way back. We go back about 7 years. I met him 7 years ago. So Ali Wong is another one. That's really...
She's legit, bro.
She's hilarious.
My wife and I are huge on her. We saw 2 of her Netflix specials. Dude, she killed me. When she was pregnant.
You know what's funny is I think that she had the same... Remember when I was telling you about I had that mentality of like, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to fucking destroy and be better than everyone, blah, blah, blah. So I met Ali 7-ish years ago, right? I used to put her on my show. And she used to always do really well. Don't get me wrong. She used to always do very well. But never like blow them out of the water, right? So before she taped her Netflix special, maybe like a year and a half or 2 years before she even got the Netflix special, she was going on shows and she was blowing everybody. Like, she would go on stage and it was a clear, like, holy shit, this girl is bringing it. She started getting word around town where, like, people were like, oh, you got Ali Wong on your show. Before the Netflix special, before she was famous, comedians and comedy fans were like, oh, she's so fucking funny. I gotta come to your show. And she started, whatever. And then she told me in private about the Netflix special, the Baby Cobra one. She emailed me. She was like, hey, Neil, I have a Netflix special coming up. I need to prepare this hour. Can I please come by your show? And so I emailed her back, and because she's fucking killer. She's very sweet.
Right.
She's very hardworking. She's very professional. She's still incredibly professional. And she would email me and be like, hey, can I come by your show? And I was like, you can work out your special as much as you want at my show. So same thing like Howie Mandel would drop by. She came by every week, and it was funny because every week she was like a little more pregnant. She was getting ready for that special, so she was getting like a little bit. It was like a baby bump, and it's funny we have pictures from back then from the show of her like baby bump like growing, and then she did the special Baby Cobra. But dude, she was absolutely murdering, and she came again when she was preparing for her next special, and she'll come by every once in a while. But insanely professional. She'll literally text me the exact time she'll be there, and she'll be there like 2 minutes before, and then she'll be like, I need to go on stage at this time. She's famous now, so she's doing 4 shows a night. So when she does my show now, it used to be, I'll come hang out, I'll have a drink, or I'll come hang out, we'll chill, and then like I'll go up whenever, and then I'll leave and do like a late show at the Laugh Factory like 3 hours from now. Now it's like I get in at 9:15, I got to be up by 9:35. She's like in and out because she's like, I got to get to the Comedy Store, and then I got to get to the Improv, and then I got to get to, whatever. But yeah, dude, Ali Wong is somebody who I met when I was 23. I was young. I was 23 years old, 7 years ago, and she was nothing but nice and sweet and professional. We still keep in touch. She still does my show whenever. Her schedule is insane. Well, she has no schedule now because with coronavirus. But
like everybody, there's no schedule. We're all on the no plan.
We have no shows. But her schedule got crazy. She was doing theaters all over the country, all over the world. So I went from seeing her, 10, 20 times a year to seeing her like, every 2-3 months, But she's the sweetest, most professional. And I do think, I don't know if it's just me who had this mentality, if I'm going to blow everybody out of the water, but I do think that before she got that special, I think mentally, she was like, I'm going to go murder. Like, it was shocking. It was really shocking because like I said, I've known her for 7 years. 7 years ago, when I saw her go up, she was good. She was very good, and she was doing very well. But like 4 or 5 years, maybe like 3-4 years after that, I felt like a switch flipped, and she just became a murderer. Like, just absolutely.
Well, you got to be that way, though, right? I feel like to be in the top of your profession, in any profession, you have to have that mindset.
Yeah, I do think it's important. I do think it's valuable. I don't think it's ego. I think it's you have to have that determination, that drive.
100%. Well, and you got to have that work ethic because, like, look, we're in different industries, but like my whole thing growing up, especially like coming here in California where you throw a stone, you're going to hit 10 trainers. Right. My thing was like, look,
you're going to hit 500
you. Dude, I'm telling you, man. But my whole thing was like, look, I'm going to outwork you.
Yes.
I'm outsmart you, and if you are smarter than me, I'm just gonna do better than you. Like, I'm gonna work harder than you. So when you're sleeping, I'm working. Like, I start my day at 4 a.m. every day. Not now, but I did when I was, pre-coronavirus. And I wouldn't get to bed till midnight, and I did that Monday through Monday.
Yeah.
Like Saturdays and Sundays are no exception. I might get up at 5 or 6, but I grind, dude. Like my wife, I don't even know why. Like. It's funny because I just made a joke to her yesterday. This is not a funny joke, but I was like, dude, we've switched pants in this house. I was like, now you're me and I'm you. Like, I'm the one doing all the dishes, the cleaning, the cooking, our daughter, like all this stuff. And I'm getting on your case about having your vitamins, drinking fluids through the day, eating lunch. Like, I got to make her all her meals. Right. And I'm like, now I know how you felt. Like, this has been a humbling moment for me because now I know how you felt. And now you know how I feel because she's putting these 12, 14-hour days in. I'm like, now we can appreciate and respect each other a little bit more from the worlds we came from. Because, like, I do have multiple businesses. And I have a lot of employees. And, like, my thing is, like, dude, I'm going to grind. Yeah. And, like, I got to the spot where it's, like, I am a people pleaser to a fault. And now I'm just like, look, you're either going to love me, you're going to like me, you're going to not like me, you're going to hate me. But, like, I'm not changing who I am. And I'm not changing what my goals are. I'm going to continue to flourish and do what I do and be the best at what I do. And just like, that's what it is. Bring it on. If you want to get at it. So it sounds like, you guys definitely have that same thing, which is awesome to see. Like, those people, only the strong survive, man.
Yeah, it's true, man. I mean, so I made a goal in 2015. I remember the month, October of 2015, that I was going to do at least 30 shows a month, which is, one a day. But I would space it out where I would do like 2-3 shows a night, blah, blah. So I would have a few nights off a week. And since 2015, I've averaged over 30 shows a month. There was one month where I did 89 shows. Craziest month of my life. I'll never do that again. It's too many. But on average, I do between 30 and 50 shows a month. And on top of that, I write every day. I produce, I film, and
I know, I follow your stuff, man. I love it.
I film and edit all of my own clips. I've dropped almost 2 hours of material, which I'm about to stop because of something I can't announce yet. But I'll tell you via text. I got something really cool coming up. Yeah, I'll let you know. But basically, somebody is producing some comedy of mine. Awesome. And so I have to kind of stop putting out my own material because I signed a contract that I will do specific jokes for them and not.
Let me ask you this: when this coronavirus is over, where are you going to be opening back up at, so me and my wife can come up and watch another show?
I'm in LA. I live in Los Angeles. I still will do as many shows as possible in LA. I produce a show every Friday at the West Side Comedy Theater. You're always welcome. I'm happy to get you tickets.
Hey, shoot me a text with that info, man, because I'm going to come out there. Like, as soon as this coronavirus is over, first thing me and my wifey are doing for our date night, because, like, our anniversary happened over this. So,
crazy.
I went and bought Mexican food at the restaurant down the street, and we had champagne in our house together with Mexican food and our daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
We haven't had a date night, and I mean, we hadn't even had a date night for a few weeks before the coronavirus, and over the course of our dating and engagement and marriage, we always go on date nights every week, or at least we go on a date, or we do some sort of a date where we're together.
Yeah.
But so much happened right before the coronavirus too. I was just getting mangled on time, and so we just have not had like any sort of date time. So as soon as it's over, man, first date night we're taking, I'm coming back up and watching you, because I honestly, and look, one of the big things, I'm 100%, I'm a straight shooter. I don't sugarcoat things. I don't just say things to like make people feel good, because I feel like that's not doing it justice to them. Like, if I suck at something, I want somebody to be like, bro, you suck. Thank you. Now I know I need to get better.
Yeah.
To date, and we have had Don't Tell Comedy at my gym a couple other times. You were by far the funniest unknown comedian I've seen to date. Now, I've seen guys like Daniel Tosh and some of the more well-known guys, but I knew who they were first. Right. With Daniel Tosh, I had just found out who he was, and then after I saw him live, he started his thing on Comedy Central. But for you, I had no idea who you were, and like I keep telling Tara, like, dude, you were the funniest, because I only follow 3 comedians. You're one of 3. And I'm like, dude, today, I tell her, like, dude, he was the funniest freaking, like, you brought it. Dude, I was crying. I was laughing so hard. My abs hurt. Like, it was absolutely fantastic. And for people who don't know who you are, if you love comedy, dude, you are so funny. And I loved every minute of it. And when you, at the end of your set, you asked the audience, like, hey, look, I've got some new material. Do you mind if I do it with you guys? And I was the first one, like, yes! Go! I remember I was sitting in the front center, and the light was right there on me, so all of you guys took shots at me too.
Oh yeah. And
so the next show of Don't Tell Comedy, one of my first jokes was about the people sitting in those front rows with the light. I was like, man, and of course the mic's all of those. I just pulled the thing out. I was like, so, I'm Steven, I'm the owner of the gym, and I was like, you 8 people right here, best of luck to you, because you're all screwed tonight. You don't know it, but you have big targets on your chest. Guess what? I was in that seat 2 months ago, and guess what? Every comedian took tons of shots at me for the whole night. So I'm going to start it off. And I took shots at all of them. I was like, all right, guys, good luck. May the Lord be with you. Passed the mic on. Everyone was dying. That was probably the best little stint I had right there. And it was like, I've never laughed at myself so much through people ripping me apart.
It's fun.
It was great.
It's fun, man.
It's great, but you were awesome. I loved it, and I really enjoyed being able to have you.
I appreciate that, man. I work
Yeah.
very hard at trying to be funny, man. So that means a lot, man. I
Well,
appreciate
you're
it.
doing a good job because honestly, man, and again, you know, to find out that it's only, you know, in less than a year, you've got 45,000 followers on Instagram. I mean, that says something, man. Like Instagram's a space where it's hard to get followers, right? It just is. Like, let's be honest. Like everybody's trying to be a freaking Instagram celebrity.
Yeah.
And you're doing it, you know, and it's been really encouraging to hear your story a little bit. But honestly, I think you're freaking funny as shit. And I just wanted to have you on because I'm like, dude, this guy is freaking
Thanks,
funny.
bro. I appreciate
No,
you.
I appreciate you,
This
my
was
man.
fun, man. I had a good time, man. But yeah, if you want to check out my stuff, I mean, I've got so much stuff online. I've got almost 2 hours of material.
Oh, I know, it's great. Well, I'm gonna text with you a little bit later here. I got a couple more things I gotta do, but hey, man, thank you so much for being on the show today. And again, this is Stephen Beseda with Get It. Thank you, Neel. It was amazing having you, guys. We'll put his information on here for you so you can follow him. And if you love comedy, this is a guy you need to go to his Instagram. You need to follow him and go to his show because I promise you, you will not regret it. But hey, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and I will talk to you soon. All right, my man?
All right, man. Talk to you soon.